everybody. It's the Daily Dose with Dr. Melissa. How are you doing today? Today, I have special guests with me, Reed and Graclyn, and they are world travelers. And we're going to talk today about how their health has been as they're traveling around through this crazy time and some other things about that. But I'll let them introduce themselves just so you can get to know them a little bit better. So welcome, Reed and Graclyn.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm Graclyn Glazier, and this is Reed Dennis.
Reed Dennis.
And we have been full-time traveling since June of last year. Our intention was to go out and travel the world starting in April. And as everybody here knows, the world kind of shut down right about that time that everything was going into storage. We were packing up our lives in Austin, Texas. So we pivoted. We did a road trip around the western part of the US for 3 months, then headed over to the Balkans, so Croatia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and Albania, and then spent 3 months in Costa Rica earlier part of this year and are now in Greece. So that's kind of where we're at and where we've been.
Yep, that's right. And we've, since we've been on the trail, we said, you know what, this life, this kind of big adventure life that we're living really appeals to us. And we had so many just kind of transformational experiences over the last year as we started to say yes, to adventure, to ourselves, and to abundance, which is kind of our three-pronged mantra and what we're living by out here. The universe really started to open up to us. And so we said, let's build our life around, following that passion and purpose inside our heart, and let's empower others to do the same. And so we started a company called Fire Up Nation, and that's our aim, to ignite the human spirit and to, empower others to live from their heart space.
That's wonderful. And I love that. And I think that's why we connected, because you have such a passion for firing up the spirit and living in abundance and traveling and just, packing your life up. And you're so young to do that. Most people think about that, later on in life. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to wait until the kids are grown or the kids are out of school or I retire or whatever. And so I'm so amazed and happy that you were able to, younger in life, make that decision to just take charge of your own life, take charge of what you're doing, and decide to travel and live the life that you want to live now. So I commend you for being able to do that. That's awesome. And sharing that spirit with everybody else, I think, is wonderful. Very wonderful.
Well, thank you. And to be perfectly fair, I mean, we spent many years waiting, doing just that, what you described. So, I'm 38, but I told myself, I think 4 years into a 14-year career as a consultant, this isn't what I want to do with my life. And instead of just kind of stopping it right there and saying, this is what I want to do and pursuing that, I kind of stuck with it and then justified it. And so over time, it was, it kind of was diminishing in that regard. So as much as we would like to take credit for just getting out there and grabbing it by the horns, it's just one of those things where it took us a long time to get there as well. But man, are we happy we did.
Okay, well, that's good. I wouldn't have guessed you that old. So that's very good. Your youthful faces. So tell me about some of the challenges that you've ran into with traveling around the US during the first part of the pandemic and now in Greece. What are your experiences with people? What's it been like? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, within recent times, being here in Greece, there's certainly certain things that you have to do to be able to get into the country. You want to be respectful of any mandates or things that are going on in order to actually be allowed in. But once you do that and you're here, as long as we're following the rules, people are friendly. We're in a place that's based off of tourism, so they're happy to have us. We're happy to be here and fortunate to be able to come over here. So on the health front, it's definitely different times and a few different unique experiences that you have to kind of layer into it. But as long as, we are taking care of ourselves and following whatever's required in order to get to where we're going, we've found it to be, just as fun and as free as it was before. Granted, a different experience, but understanding kind of the world we're living in right now.
Good.
Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of what we adopted was, let's do what we can, right, within the rules that were out there. So we always just kind of assessed the situation and said, okay, well, we are able to go to this place, or we are able to do this, and this is the requirement. So I think we've in the 6 or so countries we've traveled to, I think we've had to take a grand total of 3 tests or whatever to get into the various places, one of which to get back to the US. And so it's just one of those things where as long as you're able to kind of go through that and work with the requirements, we found that people are really happy to have you here. I mean, there's so many tourist-based economies throughout the world, and they've really taken it on the chin with what's going on. So we're happy to be out here supporting them.
Well, that's very good. And I'm going to take that a little step further. When you think about it, respecting the area, and that's very key, respecting their practices, and even in the United States, from state to state, it's different. It's like going from a different country now, because, and versus jumping countries. But when you would check guidelines to find out if you're allowed in that country based upon where you come from. And so that's one thing that you're doing now still. It's just a little step further to find out, okay, is there additional health concerns, or is there additional precautions that we need to take? Or is there, just like when you would go to, like when I went to Costa Rica a few years ago, I wanted to make sure there was a vaccine that I took before then, because I didn't want to catch yellow fever or anything, and so there's different aspects, I think, that you look at before you go into a country. You assess, okay, what is the risk of going into the country? What is the benefit of going into the country? And I think you have to assess that. We did it before, and I think we're doing it now. I think you're doing that now, and it's just, so it's not really different, but yet it's different, if that makes any sense.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, there's risk in almost anything you do. So it's this calculation of, what is the benefit? What's the risk? What am I comfortable with? And what's allowed? And you just kind of weigh all that in the balance and then make your choices off of there. But it's a unique time to be out here traveling, and we're still very much enjoying it though.
Well, that's good. Well, so as you are full-time travelers now, and my platform is about health, tell me, how do you stay healthy with traveling so much? And what do you do to make it a point so that you do stay healthy? I mean, you go to all of these great places. There's all kinds of different foods, I'm sure, that you want to try. And so how do you balance that out?
Right. So, I mean, the way that we approach it on the road is, we take full responsibility for our health and making sure that we're keeping our immune system strong. And the way that we do that is, it's actually pretty practical. We stay very well hydrated on spring or mineral water. We get out and get a lot of vitamin D from the sun. We get out and mix it up in nature. Our exercise comes from hiking. We like to get out and mingle with the local people and absorb the culture. And then, of course, as far as eating, we are big fans of eating out. So it's all weighing it in the balance. We try to cook some of our meals as well. If we can go to a farmer's market, great. Try to get as many vegetables as we can in there. I will say, in Greece, it's a lot harder than you'd think. The Mediterranean diet. We had this idea that it was going to be super healthy, but I feel like we probably both put on I'll speak for myself. I've probably put on a few since we got here. But then we do other things, like we supplement with vitamin C, like liposomal vitamin C, with zinc, with vitamin D, with K and A. We take an iodide mixture called a Lugotab every day. That's antiviral, antibacterial. So, with taking that full responsibility for our health and building our immune system through those things that I mentioned, I mean, we stay pretty healthy. We haven't had any issues with getting anything on the trail. So that's going on 2 years now of traveling, and we feel great. So we're going to keep up what we're doing.
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And that is taking responsibility for yourself. That's one key, and doing as much preventative as you can. And that's key number two. So I'm happy to hear you're doing both of that. And then you're getting out with the locals and maybe doing some movement and some that other E word people don't like to say, exercise. So I like to say movement. But yeah, because we need to move our bodies because we want to keep functional movement, especially as we age, so that we're able to carry our own suitcase if we wanted to when we're 90 years old.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were getting out and getting some of that exercise today. We did this hike down to the old port and then back up, and that was a good, I don't know.
I think it's like said 550 steps. They actually counted it as you went. So you're like, oh.
So we've got about 80 floors today. So yeah, if we start, just huffing and puffing, that's why.
That's okay. That's okay. Very good. All right. Well, tell me, what advice would you give somebody else who wants to start this life of adventure and start traveling? And then how would you inspire them to do that?
I'll go first. I mean, anything, whether it's a life adventure, just anything that your heart's set on, I feel like we both, or at least I'll speak for myself, said what you were saying, oh, later, or there's a reason why it's not now, but maybe it's later. So whatever it is that you want to do in life, like take an action to go towards that, like right now, whether it's, sail around in the Mediterranean. Okay, well, do you know how to sail, or like, do you have a boat, or like, what can you do to like put, the intention out there and actually start making your dreams real? Because we talked about traveling, quitting our jobs and traveling the world for years. And what were we doing to actually make that happen? Pretty much nothing besides talking about it. And then I got a travel backpack. I didn't even have a backpack that I was going to take. So obviously I'm not going to go if I'm not ready to go, but we got the backpack, got some travel books, and then it's like that sets the wheel in motion. So I think for me, the idea of just whatever you want, take an action towards making it happen, or else it's a thought. And a thought with no new action is just a thought. There's no real intention out there. So that's something that we've definitely learned over the past year or two, is just, start making things happen, however that looks. Just take one step forward towards that.
Yeah, take the leap. I mean, if you want to go somewhere, buy the ticket, and that's commitment right there.
Get a book about it. At least read, know where you're going.
Right. But to Graclyn's point, I mean, a lot of it, if you want to do this lifestyle, I mean, first you have to clear a space. That was something I don't think we really realized is how many things in our life that we were saying yes to when we really wanted to be saying no. And it wasn't until we said no to the things that were diminishing us and that were really kind of, taking our life force versus generating it. And then once we said no, it cleared a space to say yes. And so then we adopted a say yes. I mean, maybe, just to everything. We were just in full say yes mode. And that's really how kind of what got us to where we are today, was just being open and knowing that we don't know, what we don't know, and learning. And so this is as much, about the journey. The journey is the destination as far as we're concerned. So that's kind of the big adventure living, mentality. It's just to have the faith, and take the leap and really just hold a vision and then take massive action.
Awesome. That's I love that. I love that. That's very good, Key. So let's talk a little bit about health in the spect of where do you see the functional approach to health going and in the United States, and what do you see differently throughout other countries as far as how their functional health is?
Yeah, so for me and how I kind of understand functional health, at least in the United States, in my experiences, my mom I was fortunate that she exposed me to that kind of always, basically, as young as I can remember. It was just more of the approach of, okay, instead of maybe thinking what, quick fix or pill or whatever, check the box of this will help me right now. I think perhaps, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm kind of seeing a shift of people starting to be like, well, okay, maybe that will work for a little bit, but what about longer term? And really trying to figure out like, what's the root cause, or like why, if I feel bloated all the time, what am I eating maybe, versus I can take something to make that go away, or, like just there's 1,000 different things that people have that there's a quick fix, but then there's always going to be a need for that quick fix if you're not really addressing that kind of root issue. And I do feel like even just in conversations of people, that you're starting to hear more of people kind of at least looking at it through that lens, at least more than I was exposed to previously. But then as we've been traveling, it's been an interesting time to have some of those kind of conversations about just what's going on in the world. And, if it's here, this virus is here to stay, what can you do to make sure you stay healthy? And those conversations, I think, are ongoing and kind of ever changing, but I do have positive outlook on where we're headed with people kind of taking ownership and wanting to dive deeper on how they can, take responsibility and take the right actions to maintain a healthy lifestyle and have, a long, healthy life. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great answer. I would only add that, as far as the functional approach, like why I personally have gone in that direction is because, I think I'm my own best health advocate. I'm experiencing what I'm feeling. I know myself better than somebody that I might go to and see for 10 minutes who really doesn't know my whole health history or journey. Actually, actively sought out a functional health doctor to, do an assessment of everything really, so I could get a baseline and know exactly what was going on with me. And it was just way more in depth. I mean, it went back through my entire life. I mean, from when I was born, and it just, there was a lot of time spent going into all the nitty gritty details of my entire health journey. And I think, as much as it is also just about treating the biology, it's also just the energy of what you are, and your emotions and any trauma that you've had, and so much. There's so many more factors than I think I was ever aware of in the past. And I'm also finding that once we heal that, right, so we treat the root cause and we heal, then our body in its natural state is healthy. I mean, incredibly healthy. I mean, you're a powerful being, and so if we address it and we really treat that root cause, which I would categorize as a more functional or holistic approach to health, I'm finding that the benefits are tremendous, and you can really just kind of live from that space of being healthy and happy and joyful.
That's wonderful, because that fits right in. I mean, my clients call me the root cause doctor, because that's what I do, is get down to the root cause, peel away the band-aids that we've just been slapped with traditional fix the symptom, fix the symptom, fix the symptom, and then have another medication to fix the symptom of the symptom. So because and now, don't get me wrong, there is definitely room and time and space for Western medicine, and there's time and space for both Eastern, and that's why I advocate for both. Because there are certain things that emergency medicine is great. Acute care medicine is very good. I would, if I'm involved in an accident, I want to have that fast acting emergency medicine. But if I'm talking about long-term, then personally, I don't want to be on medication for long-term if I don't need to be. Now, there's certain places, certain times that there may be, but a lot of times my clients know that we want to peel back and get rid of those medications. And so you can do that with your mindset and with nutrition and movement, and really focusing in on whole body health, because it does pull in emotional and spiritual, which you hit on earlier. So that's very, very good. So before we wrap up today, I just want to, do you have any final words before we wrap up? And then we'll make sure you guys can put your information in the chat. That way, if you guys want to reach out to Reed or Graclyn, make sure you can do that. We'll post this video everywhere that we can, so you can find us. And then, of course, if you need to reach out to me, I'll put my information in the chat as well. So any final words?
Well, I just want to say one real quick thing, Dr. Melissa. I just wanted to acknowledge you, for the approach that you're taking. I mean, I think one of the things that really, drew us to you, and that we found to be, honestly quite courageous, given the field that you're in, was that, you were advocating for people to get out of the system, so to speak, and get off of the drugs, and to heal and to treat the root cause. And so we just wanted to say, from our hearts, we really appreciate that, and thank you for doing that service, because we do believe strongly that is the best approach to health. And way to go.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
thank
just gonna
you.
say thank you. We so enjoyed meeting you now. I guess it was like June of this year, maybe even earlier, but it was so awesome to meet you. And I'm so glad we've had conversations with you and you helped us. You reviewed our supplements. That was fantastic and gave us a few pointers there. So we just appreciate it so much.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. Well, I'm so honored that you chose to be on the Daily Dose with Dr. Melissa. So thank you for coming here today, all the way live from Greece. So that's, I don't even know what time it is over there. What time is it over there?
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Okay.
This is a painting.
Beautiful.
Yes, we're in Santorini, but this is our painting.
Exactly. Very good. Well, thank you so much for being on the Daily Dose. Thank you everybody for watching. Check below for information on how to contact Reed and Graclyn if you want to. And we'll see you next time on the Daily Dose.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.